welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Good evening, Crowhill.
Good evening, Pigweed.
So, what is on your mind?
Just the stupid things people think.
Okay.
Stupid things people think and believe.
Right.
That's been stuck in my mind most of the day. Yeah. But before we do that.
What?
Well, I mean, you know, we got to drink something.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
What is this? Oh, good. Another Coors Light.
It's very light. What? Yeah. Goodness gracious, that's light.
Yes.
That is light like a Michelob Ultra.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what are we drinking?
I don't know. You brought the darn thing.
All right.
Weird can.
So it is a weird can. Delirium Tremens. This juvenile elephant on the front. It looks like.
Yeah.
So
it looks like a 3-year-old's bedroom.
It's pretty weird. Yeah, but it's a Belgian strongish ale.
Is it now?
And you know, I like to try Belgian ales from time to time.
Well, isn't that interesting though? Imported by Blibbity Blibbity Blue, Frederick, Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Ohio.
Don't do that.
Oh my goodness, gosh! You know how much that thing costs?
I know. Good grief, can't ruin that. So Delirium Tremens. I think is it a Belgian triple?
It's they call in the Beer Advocate.
Yeah.
They called it a Belgian strong pale ale.
Strong pale.
But
okay.
at 8.5,
That's pretty
I think
strong.
you're up into the triple
That
range.
sounds like a triple to me. Yeah. So what do we got? I'm seeing a lacy head. It's
That's
the kind of the classic, very white lacy head, and I'm getting just a little bit of that Belgian smell to it.
Yeah.
Not tons, but a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's all Belgian-y, that's for sure.
And appropriate amount of maltiness, way more malty than that brewed IPA we just drank.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. But still not terribly malty.
Not really,
Yeah.
but actually more than you would expect from a beer that's
that's this color,
as light as that.
Yeah, you're getting a decent amount of malty flavor despite the ridiculously light color.
I'm not getting a lot of booziness for an 8.5 because usually
No.
an 8.5 with a lot of malts, the malts will cover that up. I'm surprised that this is an 8.5.
Yeah, and it has a relatively dry finish.
Now,
and I'm not getting tons of hops from it.
No, and I couldn't get a lot of information from it, but from the website I got a little information here,
Okay.
which I'd like you to read.
All right.
It's Belgian. It's not in Flemish, but
Okay.
my guess is that somebody wrote it in Flemish and then they ran it through Google Translate.
All right.
And then this is what we ended up with.
So it's
Notes.
Dr. Seuss like. Okay. Feels like the sound shot of alcohol is igniting the mouth. That's good. In reality, the tongue and palate are warmed. The taste is characterized by roundness. The aftertaste is strong, long-lasting, and dry bitter. That's pretty dreadful.
Right? I mean, somebody in Belgium, I'm sure there are plenty of people that speak English.
Yeah.
That they, instead of just running it through Google Translate, that somebody could have come along
and said, "No, that's not right." Yeah.
Just said, "Let me tweak that." Jean-Claude Van Damme would have done a better job. Feels like the sound shot of alcohol is igniting the mouth. I'm not sure I'm getting that.
I don't know. No, I'm not getting that at all. My mouth is not ignited. That's pretty good.
Shot. Yeah, that is good.
That sounds like it's like those games you play. You know, what is it called? Telephone, where you have 20 people and you tell somebody and they whisper it and they whisper it and it goes all the way around the room. And it gets,
exactly. Or Mad Libs, a combination of the two.
Right.
Oh, gosh. I'm not sure about the roundness or the long-lasting dry bitter. Mm-hmm. But,
well, I like it.
I do, too.
It's very tasty. It's not... It doesn't jump out at me in any particular way.
And I don't know who said where this was elected as the best beer in the world. I mean, that's pretty bold.
That is pretty bold.
A bold claim.
I think it's this little elephant guy.
He said that?
He said that, yeah.
Who? Hagar? What's
Hagar the Horrible? No.
Hamilcar, Hannibal.
You're talking about Hannibal. Okay, I thought you were talking about the kids' books.
Yeah, I am. Isn't there an elephant?
There is an elephant. There is. It'll come to me. I can't think of it.
No. I'm getting Hannibal and going over the Alps mixed up with the character.
But no Alps today. All right, so let's move on to stupid things that people believe that just are not so.
And things that and most of these things you'll hear like once a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
This is not like
Right.
some crazy thing that some weird people in Appalachia believe or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
You just hear this at the water cooler kind
Yeah,
of things.
yeah. So like an example is everybody before Columbus thought the world was flat, and Columbus proved the world was round.
He proved it.
Yeah.
All the sailors were going, we're going to go right off the edge.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Almost nobody.
every educated person knew that the world was round,
And certainly any sailor.
and Columbus was actually wrong. He thought that the world was much smaller. You know, this whole idea of going to India.
Right.
Most educated people, thought that the world was roughly around the size that it actually is.
Right.
So sailing from Spain all the way around to the Orient.
So you got to sail the Atlantic, the full length of the United States
and the Pacific. Yeah,
to get there.
No way in the
That's
world.
why you don't want to go there.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
But if he said, wow, it's probably not that bad.
He thought the world was much smaller, so he was wrong.
But when he saw land, he was like, "Told ya!"
Yeah, right.
There's Asia right there,
Yeah.
you idiots.
So he was not proving that the world was round. So,
But anybody whose job was to stand at on land and look
Watch
out
ships come
and
in,
watch ships
right.
come in, and you see the top of the sail.
yeah, top of the mast, and then
A little bit more.
a little bit more. You start to get the idea that something's going
Right,
on.
and
Yeah.
the rest of the time, as the sun goes down, you're looking at the moon. You're going, that looks pretty round.
And the Greeks had
They had
already done some experiments.
some pretty
coming
good
fairly
calculations.
Yeah. So any educated person knew that the world was round. And
All right, but people throw that around. Well, people in Columbus's day, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. All right, here's another one. That Adam and Eve ate an apple.
Oh, I hear it all the time.
Yeah, all the time. The Bible doesn't say anything about apples.
Right.
Apparently, that's some sort of one translation, like the Latin for fruit, sounds like apple. I don't remember the etymology of the whole thing, but there's a reason why people started to think of it as an apple.
Okay, they didn't just slap that on.
They didn't just make it up out of nowhere. But the Bible says nothing about an apple. They just ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So anyway, that's just a dumb one. How about this one? That if you're trying to avoid caffeine, you should avoid chocolate. Like, you shouldn't drink hot chocolate, because hot chocolate has just as much caffeine as coffee.
Then why wouldn't people just have a couple of Hershey's Kisses in the morning?
Exactly, instead of having a cold... But the thing is, hot chocolate has about the same amount of caffeine as decaf coffee. I used to have this little chart on my wall. Of how many
As
milligrams
a
of
guy
caffeine.
who's not...
Yeah, I can't drink too much. Yeah,
Crazy about
my
that.
stomach doesn't like caffeine that much. So I need to know. And drip coffee is one thing, and tea is another thing. And so you go down the list. Decaf coffee has like 3 milligrams of caffeine, which is about the same as hot chocolate.
So this ties into one of my most aggravating common beliefs.
All right.
It's children's sugar and the sugar high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you go to, especially if you go to a children's birthday party,
Right.
and you're standing around with a bunch of parents that
And the kids are being crazy.
but you don't know the parents, so you
Right.
don't really have much to talk about,
Right.
Except for which one is yours. Well, you're going to hear 4 or 5 times. Well, they're going to be wired tonight,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
I mean, look at them running around like crazy people.
They're running around because they're at a party.
Because it's Chuck E. Cheese,
Right.
and they're excited,
Yes.
and
they're around friends.
they're around friends,
Yeah.
and it's the birthday party.
Yeah.
And they've done studies where the parents are asked to interpret their children's behavior,
Right.
with and without, and with the control group and stuff. Yeah, they're completely.
It has
wrong.
nothing to do with it.
It has
Right.
nothing to do.
Yeah.
And again, it would be the same thing. It's like especially a lot of people drink coffee and they don't even like it, but they
Right.
just need a little wake up in the morning. Just eat a piece of cake. Do you think that kids' bodies are different than adult bodies, and
good
so that
question,
they respond to a piece of cake and you don't?
Have you heard the Bill
Stop.
Cosby thing? That is great. He gives
It's
us chocolate cake.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, but yeah. Oh, that one. That one bothers me because honestly, I probably hear
you hear it all the
twice.
time. Every time you're at a kid's party, right? How about this one? White wine comes from green grapes, and red wine comes from red grapes.
I know it. I've never heard that, but it's a good thing I hadn't because I would totally buy that.
Yeah, it's not true.
Okay.
So the reason red wine is red is, yes, it comes from red grapes because it's left on the skins. They press it and they get the juice out, but then they leave the skins on there, and the red color comes from the skins. If you can make a white wine from a red grape, if you just press it and just take the juice.
Really now?
Yeah.
So what are green grapes for? Are they
well, I mean, they make. Yes, a lot of white wines are made from green grapes. That's true. A lot of white wines are made from green grapes, and a lot of red wines are made from red grapes. That's true. Okay. But you can make a white wine from red grapes.
Well, there you have it.
Like a lot of what is Zinfandel, right? Zinfandel, it's not quite white, but a lot of people drink Zinfandel. Zinfandel's a red grape.
Yeah.
And if you can get Zinfandel, that's a red Zinfandel.
And that just means they leave
it on the skins
laying around.
Leave it on the skins, right? And that's where it gets the color from sitting on the skins, right?
There you have it.
But don't do this though. If you're drinking Zinfandel, don't swallow a piece of gum. Because it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years.
7 years. Very specific number.
I know. It's amazing. It's really 7 years.
I've heard that since
and of course,
that's
total BS. It doesn't
just passes through like any
exactly.
other.
Exactly. It just goes right through your body. It's not going to. What is it going to do? Like grab a hold of the stomach wall?
Well, it's so sticky, It
right.
just grabs a hold
everything
of your
else.
colon.
Everything else goes through, but gum. Gosh, when gum gets down there, it grabs hold on this side and that side. I'm staying here for 7 years.
And is my 7 years up yet? All right, I'm out.
And 7 years after the 7 years are up, it's gone, but not before that. Okay, so how about what's this one? I think this is one of yours. I knew it was going to rain because of an ache in my shoulder.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes. There's the old my bum knee.
Right.
I knew it was going to rain. I mean, I got that feeling, and all that is I've got a bad shoulder. And sometimes it hurts and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And sometimes it rains and sometimes it doesn't.
It's total confirmation.
And once they coincide, plus you have a window. So you could be a day before it rains. Mm-hmm. It could be while it rains. Right. It could be the day after it rains. You're going to be like, that's why that pain is.
Same thing as nurses coming out of the ER and looking up and seeing a full moon and saying, boy, it was a busy night tonight. It must have been because of the full moon.
Or, in fact, you work in the ER.
Yeah.
Right. And it just gets busy. Yeah. And yes, so full
moon.
There's
apparently no correlation whatsoever between full moons and crime.
No, they've run the numbers. Yes, you're right. There are more arrests for crazy people. There are more visits to the ER. There's more weird behavior. Yeah, and to hear people go, well, crazy's going to be out tonight, which is the origin of lunacy.
Lunatic. Yeah, because
Luna.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But there's nothing to it.
There's nothing
to it. Yeah, okay. So we only use 10% of our brains.
Man, I tell you what, when that movie Lucy came out with Scarlett Johansson, and she is both brilliant and hot and kicks ass.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I'm in. Until the tagline of the movie this is how the trailer of the movie is. She unlocks the other 90%.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. On the Pigweed and Crowhill show, we use at least 90% of our brains. That's.
How about this? Like a guy comes into work with his skull is entirely crushed in. He's like, dude, what happened? Yeah, horrible accident. But fortunately, I wasn't using that part of my brain anyway.
I only need 10% to work here anyway.
And the good 10% is fine. And they're like, oh, well, good for you. Please put on a hat because that's disturbing. But the thing is, so where it comes from is Harvard psychologist, blah-de-blah, in the 1890s told audiences that people only meet a fraction of their full mental potential, which is a plausible claim, right? I mean, yeah, sure, right? I mean, everybody can be smarter.
At any given time, you're not using your muscles at their full potential.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can be smarter. You can focus better. Well, then somebody came up with the 10% thing and included it in the foreword to Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
And then it became gospel.
And some people have attributed it to Einstein. Einstein said that, and no, you use all your brain all the time. Yeah.
It's amazing when people try
just
to
take a chunk out of your brain and see how you do.
When people try to track down this junk and where did it come from and everything, a lot of times
it's hard, right?
Yeah, it's hard to figure out. But sometimes when they actually track it down, it turns out to be some goofball thing from some crazy place. It has nothing to do with anything. And so, but it gets repeated over and over and over again, and
it just becomes popular. And then so. In some cases, it just sounds fun to believe. In some cases, people want to believe. Just that's the whole nature of pop psychology, right? It's like, wow, that's accessible to me as a non-psychologist, and
it confirms my prejudice.
It confirms my prejudices, and so I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. So I mean, we're both drinking a beer. Did you have your 8 glasses of water today?
Oh, I don't need 8 glasses of water. Gosh, how much do you want me to urinate? I mean, your body tells you if you're thirsty and you drink.
I would think that would work.
That was even on that stupid food pyramid thing. Oh,
was
don't
it?
forget to get your
8 glasses of water. Where did 8 come from?
Why do you?
I mean, look, it's not an obvious number.
And the thing is, you would think that if it's something like, and this came along before we started drinking bottled water, I think. So it's not like the water industry propagated this. This has been around longer than bottled water, or not?
I don't know. They've been saying it for all. Yeah, I think it's before bottled water because when we were kids, there wasn't any bottled water.
No, but I don't.
But
I don't remember the eight glasses argument when we were kids. But you know what's the idea? You get most of the water just from food you eat, unless you're just eating potato chips all day. Yeah. And how much water is in this? Your body doesn't go. That's not real water. That water has
that water's mixed with something
has
else,
Coca-Cola.
right? Yeah.
It has Sprite. It has so that really doesn't count. No, it's already 98% water.
Or the water you got from eating that mandarin orange or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
A lot of animals get all their water from eating, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go on a 1 mile walk with your spouse, you don't need to bring half a gallon of water with you.
Right, yes.
I saw a kid at the park. He had a backpack thing with a water hose, and he was like 3 years old.
Right.
It's like, okay, you know what? When you get home, the kid, he will make it home after climbing, go down a slide 5 times.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be hydrated.
Somehow or other, I survived riding all over the neighborhood as a kid, not bringing any water with me. Somehow I survived.
And yeah, you can find a hose somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good thing though that neither of us won the lottery today.
No, because you don't want to win it.
We don't want to win it because 5 years later you're going to be dead broke.
Oh yeah, well that's common knowledge.
It's common knowledge
that you're better off not winning.
You're better off not winning the lottery.
Yes.
Because if you don't win the lottery, you're not going to be dead broke in 5 years.
90% in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I'm at a bar, and this was the time. It was $1.5 billion in the fall.
Right.
And so there was a little bit of buzz about that.
Yeah.
And the bartender, leans in authoritatively.
Yeah.
90%. I don't want that kind of money. So everybody's talking about what would you do? What would you do?
Right.
I wouldn't even want to win it because you know what? 90%. And then he repeated it very slowly to make sure I got the full gravity of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's nothing to that. No. There are people win lotteries all of the time. And you know what? Occasionally there's a disaster.
Right.
That's what makes the news. That's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
Right? Most people 10 years later are still reaping the benefits. Now, yes, of course, some people blow it all on cocaine in 3 years.
Yeah.
But, mostly you pay off your house and you send your kids to college.
You
and
set up an annuity and
most people, there's nothing to this 90%.
Right.
And, by the way, still hoping to win the lottery.
I'd be happy with that. So people either use their right brain or their left brain.
Yeah, left-handed people use their right brain all the time.
Yeah.
Right-handed people use the left.
Or rational people use their right brain, and creative types use their left brain. So there's all kinds of pop psychology stuff about right brain and left brain. I was actually listening to this fascinating fellow, Ian McGilchrist, talking about actual differences between right and left brains.
No, it is a real thing. That they do behave differently. Yes.
Yeah, they do. But most of the stuff you hear in popular culture is a bunch of crap. What is that
right? Because the myth is that you're not using that other part. You're
more of a right brain person or more of a left brain person.
Which metaphorically is helpful. So go ahead. What are the breakdowns?
Yeah. So I mean the sort of metaphorical pop psychology side of it is you have a creative side and you have a rational side, and it's true that some people are more creative and some people are more rational. So in that sense,
big picture and task focused.
Yes, right, and actually, but that is right.
That is real.
That is
yes, right. That's why there's so much. There's a lot of truth in the differences between the two sides.
Yeah.
But it gets confused into some weird.
Right. So apparently there are some people you have your left brain, you have your right brain, and there's this thing called the corpus callosum that connects them, and it's like the superhighway that regulates the connection between. It's not the only connection.
Right.
There's apparently another little connection in the back of your brain, and there's also a connection through peptides and things that go through your blood. So there are some connections between the two hemispheres, totally aside from the corpus callosum, but that's the main connection between them. All right. In some cases, people either through accidents or through surgery have had the for epilepsy. Have had the corpus callosum cut. Now, the curious thing about that is if you have the corpus callosum cut, you're able to communicate with the right hemisphere or with the left hemisphere.
Right.
Like if you close your right eye and you only let somebody read something with their left eye, they're seeing, you're only communicating with the right hemisphere and vice versa.
Yeah.
So they're able to find out things about the left and the right brain, and generally speaking, the left brain is task focused, grabbing something, and the right brain is big picture focused.
Yeah.
And there's more to it than that. But anyway, there are differences between the left and the right brain, but most of the stuff you hear about in pop psychology and management classes and stuff is a bunch of BS.
What I heard, the analogy was you're in a strange place.
Mm-hmm.
You might remember this from the podcast. You're in a strange place,
yeah,
and you hear a weird noise from the other side of the room,
right,
from across the hall in another room,
right.
And so, in the big picture sense, you're thinking about all of the possibilities of what this noise could be.
Yeah.
And then you go in, and then you open the door, and you flip on the light, and now you're sort of laser focused into what actually is going on in this room, so that you need both of those. You need to be able to do both of those things at once.
Right.
And if you really only could function. If you only had one half, you'd either be so focused you had no idea what's going on in the world, or you're thinking about everything in the world and can't get anything done.
Right. So what I thought was the most helpful to me in understanding the difference is you have to be doing two things at the same time. You have to be pursuing prey or gathering food or whatever.
If you go back to the very evolutionary part
exactly.
of it. Yes,
so you have to be two things. You have to be eating food, and you have to be not becoming food. Right?
That's great. Yeah.
Right. So on the one hand, you're focused on a task. I want to get the berries off this bush. Right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you're thinking, I don't want that lion to eat me.
Yes.
So the different sides of your brain are designed to do in a big picture those two different tasks. And they're doing those things all the time. So,
right. Now, so while you're there and you're thinking about the lion, can you feel the lion behind you?
Because he's looking at you.
Yeah, because I knew there was somebody.
I felt those eyes on me. I could feel it in the back of my head. It was a little bit of warmth. Yeah.
Right. And that's that's the whole confirmation bias thing.
Although to tell you the truth, I mean, I know it's total crap. I know you can't tell that somebody else, but I swear, some women know when you're looking at them. I mean, I'm kidding. But this whole idea of I knew somebody was looking at me, no, you don't.
That's in retrospect, right? So you turn around and you didn't expect somebody to be behind you, and your reaction is,
oh, I knew that.
Dang.
I had a funny feeling.
I had a funny feeling.
Yeah.
You did not have a funny feeling.
No.
You convinced yourself that you had a funny feeling after the fact.
Or 99 times you had a funny feling and you turn around and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And the one time you turn around, see, I told you.
Right. Yeah, see, I told you.
Yeah, right. Okay. But, did you eat breakfast today?
No, I never eat breakfast.
I did have breakfast today. But, so, breakfast is supposedly the most important meal.
No, you're kidding me. I blew it.
And now you're going to die.
No wonder I had I was so grumpy at work all day.
Yeah.
And then I ate 7 lunches.
To make up for it.
I ate 3 steak and cheeses because I skipped
because you skipped breakfast because it made you so hungry.
Breakfast.
It's what a bunch of nonsense. It's so
Finally, after hearing that my entire life, there was a study came out last week going, no, breakfast isn't that big a deal. Okay. And which we apparently see, at least sometimes there's right. So when you dig into the origins of things, this really was a cereal oatmeal company pushed myth, from 30 years ago, which makes sense. Like, don't forget, you better eat your Cheerios
because breakfast is the most important meal.
Yeah, really? But I do. I still hear it.
And we hear that stuff and we absorb it and just there it goes. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing we're not drinking liquor later on, because beer before liquor, never sicker.
No, it doesn't work like that. Your body, just like the water thing.
Right.
Your body is not saying to itself, this alcohol is being fed into my system by means of barley and hops, while this alcohol comes from grapes, and it doesn't care.
No. And if you were to drink a beer, let's say we had a 5% beer, and then we had a shot of whiskey, and then we took the shot of whiskey and we drank a bunch of juice or a bunch of water or whatever else, it would end up becoming the same thing in your stomach.
Somebody's just blending it all together.
Right. The real problem, the reason you get sick, the reason you get a hangover, is often dehydration.
Yeah.
And if you're drinking a lot of liquor that without water, without something else, you're not getting the water in there, then you're going to get dehydrated, you're going to feel terrible.
Yeah. Another thing, and also sometimes people will have beer and then they'll have like these really sugary Mai Tai kinds of things. Yeah. And well, it's the Mai Tai itself, or that's where your hangover problem is. Not and what you did was you got sick of the sweet thing, and so you moved to beer, and then you blame your hangover on the mixed combination.
Yeah, and honestly, with me, there are certain kinds of beer with me that give me headaches. Like for some reason, Budweiser gives me a headache.
Yeah, right.
There's something about the rice or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's not the beer before liquor or any of that. It's just drink some water, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
You know,
cheap booze or too much sugar in your
or don't drink too much. But one or the other. But
what's too much? It's too much. Oh, you throw up on yourself? Don't do that.
Just drink some water.
Just drink some water.
All right. So I think we've covered some of them.
All right. So sometimes they can be fun, but realize there's nothing to it, and don't alter your behavior based on.
And when somebody tells, and something that everybody believes, check it out, for heaven's sakes.
You just go, well, okay.
Have a little bit of skepticism, have a little bit of self-doubt, have a little bit of, feeling of, I want to find out if this is really true.
Exactly.
Just because everybody says it.
True. So, and stay home if there's a full moon.
That's right.